Let's talk about the 6 books I finished in April and the ones I didn't finish. On April 1st, I was technically reading 7 books. Did I finish any of those 7 books that I was currently reading? I actually don't think I did. We're gonna start off by talking about the books that I did finish. The first book I read was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I gave it 2.5 stars. It was my 3rd Ali book that I've read, and honestly I can summarize my thoughts on this one by saying it is what the title says. I did not feel like they were in love. I didn't feel like they were in love for 1 second in the entire book. So I'm gonna say this one was not for me, but at the same time, I had immaculate timing reading this because Problematic Summer Romance comes out at the end of May. That technically is the follow-up book to Not in Love. Moving on, then I read Not Safe for Work by Nisha J. Tooley. This was an ARC through NetGalley that I got, so thank you to the publisher and the author for letting me read this early. I'm not going to say a ton because it's not out yet, but personally this was not for me, but I do hope that it is for a lot of you. And then because I struck out 2 times in a row and none of my current reads were doing it for me, guess what I did? I reread Deep End. Yeah, I did. One of you did leave a comment saying, am I going to reread Deep End every month of 2025? And I might. And if you know, you know Deep End is now categorized as one of my comfort reads, which means the rating doesn't matter. But if I was to rate it using my rating scale, I would technically get a 4.75. But again, comfort reads, ratings don't matter. Then I read Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. This is on Kindle Unlimited. It's the first book in the Bourbon Boys series. It's kind of cowboy vibes, but without the actual cowboys because they are not cowboys. Okay, he's very clear that he's not a cowboy. I didn't love this as much as I was hoping I was going to. However, I'm still curious and I do want to read the second one anyway, and then the third one comes out in June. This is a romantic suspense book, but for me it was definitely on the low end of suspense as far as romantic suspense goes. Then I was in a reading slump and I lost my Storygraph reading streak. I've already talked about another video, I'm not going to bore you again, but you know what fixed it? Sawyer by Jessica Peterson. Yeah, I read that one in one sitting in one night and I didn't even start it till like 8 p.m. and I was done in a couple hours. It was exactly what I needed it to be. And then the last book that I actually finished this month, Wild and Wrangled by Miss Lila Sage, and I have way too many thoughts on this. Long story short, I loved it, but also there is a YouTube reading vlog fully dedicated to this book coming soon, so I will let you know when it's out. And now onto the 3 books that I DNF'd or paused this month. Lies He Told Me by James Patterson and David Ellis was the BRBT book of the month. I fully intended on finishing it, but then I accidentally turned my Kindle off airplane mode and it returned to Libby. And I'm gonna be honest, I just don't care enough to sit through another like 4-month-long waiting period for it, and it's not on Kindle Unlimited anymore. Apparently it was at one point. I was like halfway through. I got filled in at book club the other night about what happened, and I feel at peace with that. Be Ready When the Luck Happens by Anna Garden I was listening to on audio. There's no way to save that from a Libby hold being returned, so I did have to put it back on hold. So it's on a temporary pause for me. I was really loving it. I just wasn't a big audiobook listener this month for some reason. And then The Deal by Elle Kennedy I DNF'd with full passion at 40%. I thought it was going to be like a light sports romance to get me out of that slump I mentioned before, but it just was not for me. I did not like it, which does mean I'm carrying quite a few books over into May, but I feel good about that. I feel like I'm back into my reading groove, and I feel like May is going to be a good month. Let me know what your favorite read of April was in the comments. Anyone else had a rough reading month? I feel you. I get you. Hopefully May is better for us.